Do you think marriage is all about just trying your best? Well, let's think again. In today's episode, we're breaking down the difference between trying and training because love takes reps, not just luck. So if you're tired of emotional burpees and still arguing about the laundry, this one's for you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Imperfectly Married, the podcast,
where real talk meets real marriage.
We're Michael and Heather,
26 years in and still figuring it out.
No filters, no fluff.
Just real love,
Real life,
and a whole lot of grace.
Amen.
All right, so here we go.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about trying versus training.
Oh.
So this is really cool because I think that so many times the trying is where it's like we're just trying to put in a little bit of effort. We're just trying to be better. It's like you're doing things without a plan or without the intention to follow through. But then when you're training, you're putting that motivation behind it. It's that intention. It's the long-term growth that is the goal and the main motivation in pushing you forward. So how that relates in marriage is so cool because we're going to be talking about how we just either try to be better, but then now I would challenge our listeners and even us in our marriage to start focusing on training to be better. And I remember when we were talking probably, 3 or 4 years ago, and I asked you the question, do you want a good marriage or do you want a great marriage?
Oh, man. I remember that question, and it was a hard one.
Yeah.
It was a hard one because the answer is obvious.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, but the implication of the answer is different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's asking, well, if you want the great marriage, what pathway are you going to do to get there?
Right.
Because you present the subject of trying versus training. My answer not in the midst of, as a result, and when we're coming back after a conflict is I'm going to try and be better at thus and so. And it's true, it's authentic. I want to try to do that. And so I'm a little nervous on where we go from here because that particular question, talking about good or great, I'm like, I want it to be great. Can I ask what it requires, though, to be great?
It requires some training. So here, I'm going to give you a really great example. So I was a personal trainer for a little bit less than a year. It was one of our side hustles. We were trying to save money and get out of debt. And
we did good.
yeah, we did good.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Moving on.
That'll be for another episode again. And, but one of the things of this method that we trained in, so it was a 20-minute workout and you would do a full body workout on weighted machines, but you would go slow movements until failure. So the movements would be really slow, heavy, heavy, heavy weights. So whatever you would normally just lift on like regular reps, you would go heavier, slower until you couldn't move the weight anymore. It was brutal. And I love it because what it does is it helps build the muscles rapid and you don't have to work out as long. So you would have shortened workouts and your results were quicker. The problem is that the clients that I would train, like I loved training because I loved encouraging them. And I would just be like, go, go, go. Like, it's like just really like motivating someone to like go past the point where they think that they can. But a lot of the clients, they would do the reps and they'd go pushing and they'd be like this. And then all of a sudden they would just drop the weights and be like, oh, I can't do it. I'm done. That was failure. And it was like, we knew the signs of what true failure looked like. The true failure looked like you were in mid mid-rep and you couldn't actually move the weight any further. That was true failure. So that was the definition of it. And so a lot of our clients would stop before they even got to failure, but it was still hard, but then they would just stop.
They tried.
They tried, and then they would complain to us that they weren't getting the results that they were paying for or looking for. And we would always encourage them to keep training towards failure. And so I think that is such a great picture of what we're talking about here, is because a lot of our clients, they were just trying to push the weight. They weren't training with the goal to build, grow, establish muscles, like thinking about their why and being like, why am I working out? Why do I want to be there for my grandkids? Am I wanting to be stronger? Am I wanting to, be able to pick up groceries? What is the reason and the goal behind why I'm training? And then that's what keeps you in the game versus I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to kind of do some things, because most of those people quit.
So would you say there's a separation between, can you not be trying for a goal, or since there is a goal, you are training?
I would say you can try for a goal, but your commitment, the trying is going to ultimately lead to failure because there's no plan. There is no motivation behind it. So there's no intention. It's like you're not actually putting together a plan that encourages effort that's going to yield the results that you're looking for. Because when you just try, it's like, I do this all the time. Oh, I'm going to try to eat better, or I'm going to try to, be a low carb today. I'm going to try to be low carb today. But if I was
trying no bread.
But if I was training, I would wake up, I would plan out my food, I would track it in my app prior to like starting my day and eating my first meal. That is actually training because it's setting that intention and it's having a plan. But then I would even go a little bit further and say it's actually having a measurable result now, because I've put forth the plan. So now I can measure against that. And at the end of the day, I can say, okay, well, today was I low carb? Today, did I train to muscle failure? Did I encourage my spouse in his hard day? Did I welcome him when he came home from work? Because now I have a measurable plan that I can say, did I do what I set forth to do, or my commitment? And I can say, oh yeah, I nailed that. Or I can be like, no, I didn't. So tomorrow I need to course correct, or I need to make my actions a little bit more doable, or I need to pivot my plan. Plans are always something that can be changed and adapted to where you are currently at in that moment.
What do you think keeps you on the road of training as opposed to just white knuckle trying? Is it the plan?
I think it's the progress. When you're training, what you do is like let's just give an example of someone. Okay, I'll give my example. So I trained for a Ironman. No.
Mini.
No, a triathlon. There it is.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yes, an Ironman.
I did an Ironman. No, I did not ever do an Ironman, but I did a triathlon, a sprint triathlon. And what I did is I tried to do a sprint triathlon, because what I did is I showed up and I worked out occasionally at the gym. I had signed up, I had put my money in it, and I had done all the things.
You tried to get ready for it.
But I tried to get ready for it. And I showed up to a couple spin classes. I ran occasionally on the treadmill. I did laps in our pool. Never once did I do an open water swim. Never once did I track how fast I was running and or my distance and tried to build onto it. because that's the difference between trying and training. So trying is just showing up and just kind of like doing the things, but it's like I'm not really measuring or growing through them. But when I trained for so I also did a half marathon. When I did that, we were measuring and we were saying, okay, today we're running 5 miles and yesterday we did 4. And we were building on our growth and our progress to where I was able to feel way more accomplished after my half marathon than I did with my tri, because the triathlon was something that I had accomplished and I had done, but I was just going through the motions. And at the end of it, I accomplished what I set forth, but I didn't feel as though I had really conquered it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I when I think of the trying versus training as it relates to us in a relationship, in our marriage, especially going back to that question, good or great marriage, what do you want? I had to count the cost, because my aversion to training is failure. I am I am
But not the good muscle failure.
Yeah, not the build, but my aversion to training is my fear of not being able to accomplish the training. I may have the desire to achieve it, or I want the great. I truly want the great, but then training and saying I have to go down this path. What if I can't do it? I feel it's almost like when you say try, you're giving yourself an out to say, I tried. I mean, I did as much as I could. I tried to be great. I'm only good. And that's kind of where it is. It seems like the problem with that, though, is you never, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say you never make progress. You can try and white knuckle and make progress. You absolutely have to. But is it the most efficient, effective way to make impactful change in a marriage if you're only just trying?
I think trying allows room for you to close the door and be like, well, I gave my best. And how many times have we said that within like arguments of just like where it's like someone calls you out on the trying or the little effort and they're asking for more, but then what the response is, well, I tried my best. And it's like, well, what if we changed that and the training then ends up in the marriage like example of I'm reading a book. I'm creating a new habit. I'm setting the intention to um take out the trash without fail. I'm doing the dishes. I'm looking for ways to like bless my spouse. Like when they're having a hard day, I'm going to recognize it and train myself to then respond in a way that is loving and affirming and encouraging, because that is the training, because the training takes more work and more effort and more planning.
Because the training part is not supposed to be go from not to perfect. Training is all about the progress of getting better in the thing that you want to get better in, right?
Well, how many times do people, like if we're talking like bodybuilders and whatever, like they are usually training for life. They never necessarily arrive, like they may like work towards competitions, but they're not necessarily training for just the one competition. I mean, we're talking about like the true bodybuilders. Like they train for the one competition and then they're couch potatoes for the rest of their lives. Most of the time, they're training and putting in the effort to build those strong habits, because really training is about building those habits. And so what are the things that you can do every single day that create those healthy habits?
And that's the part of training as opposed to just muscling through, right? Like I know for me, I'm not good at choosing training. I choose a lot of the time trying. But when I look back in my life, though progress has been made, it's been very, very slow we've been together for 30 years. And one of the major things in my life has been anger, right? It's always been a thing in my life. It's something that has created conflict, has created problems for our family. And though, yes, I've gone to counseling before to work through that, but it's been in small snippets. I feel like I've made progress in that. But most of the time, I'm just trying to control. And again, I've made progress, no doubt. But I can see in looking back because in my mind, and this may be true for some of our viewers, when you think training, whatever your past has been, training may look like, oh my gosh, I have to do this long, drawn out, hard, difficult thing to just be a little bit better. Now, that could be true in some things, but it's not always the case. Just like you said, just read a book. Or if you're trying to get better at, loving your spouse by doing something around the house, just pick one thing. Just pick one thing. It doesn't have, so that's considered training as opposed to, hey, I'll try to get better. I'll try to not be mean. I'll try to appreciate the sentiment, but that's just emotional. That's going to die over time because commitment is connected to a goal, right? Like, hey, I'm going to take out the trash every Wednesday, and I'm going to do something that allows to remind me to do. I'm actually doing that now because our kids have grown up. Now I have to do the trash. Anyway, I set an alarm for me to remember because I want to get good at that. And I've created a habit from so much. And because I'm training myself, I guess I'm probably making a small thing a bigger thing, but I'm training myself to do something that I want to be good and efficient at. And I guess it depends on when you get into the emotional side of it, though. Like, again, when I go back to the great and good marriage, that's scary to me. That's just me. What's it going to take? What's it going to require of me to achieve those things? But looking at it like that is short-sighted thinking, because it's not start today and you have to be perfect tomorrow. It's start today and make one little step tomorrow and make it a consistent thing.
Yeah. Like when I was doing life coaching, we had this quote that said, small hinges swing big doors.
Great quote.
And so the purpose of it is to say that every small action actually has huge impact on a huge door. Like hinges are so tiny, but when you actually like use them, they're so tiny, but they can actually make huge movements. And it may be really big, or it can be really small, but over time the door opens. And I think that what we're talking about is just like setting the alarm to remind you to take out the trash. That is part of training. And when we're talking about anger, if we just say, I'm going to try to not be angry, well,
good luck.
There is no action in that, because what you're doing is you're trying to control the behavior instead of actually modifying what gets you angry in the first place.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So asking yourself, why is it that I get angry? I deal with frustration. Why is it that I'm instantly frustrated? So why is it that these emotions are happening? And most of the time, if we were to step back and if we were to look at things, it's I'm stressed. So what is it that I can be doing to train myself to pull myself out of that stress state? Do I need to go outside and do I need to go ground myself? Do I need to go sit in the sun? Do I actually need to take my lunch breaks at work? Do I need to not eat in front of my computer? All of these things will lead me to not be as stressed at work or in my normal life, so that when conflict does come at me and my behavior wants to respond in a frustrated, angry, short fused way, that is now my response, because I have capacity in my emotional tank to fill that so that my behavior isn't responding.
So trying is waiting for anger to come and then trying to control it.
And just white knuckling it and just being like, I'm so not angry.
Training is training myself to understand why I'm getting angry, what tools I can use to not get angry, so that I am now intentionally leaning into, I'm going to get angry. That doesn't go away. It's going to happen. What can I then do to now have the goal of being less, maybe not even getting there, maybe controlling it, maybe understanding myself of like, wait, when these things happen, how can I then adjust or change my own expectation of what's happening? So now I'm doing the pre-work. So training is pre-work so that the thing you're trying to change is changeable and not like trying right now. It's like, oh, I'll try right now. Or I'm going to try it again. We're using these weird examples of like trash. Oh, it's the day. Oh, now I'm mad. It's just like, I'm just throwing stuff, just trying to get, or trying to eat better. Well, when you're trying to eat better, when you're absolutely starving and you open the cupboard and all you see is Cheez-Its, you're like, I don't have the strength to not down a box of Cheez-Its because I haven't trained myself and used like maybe shouldn't be as hungry and maybe you should do some little snacks so you're not ravenous or stuff like that. That's the training as opposed to sitting, looking at the Cheez-Its and say, I'm going to try to not eat you, but I want it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say that we could go a little bit further into that and instead of having to white knuckle it, we could be planning and doing the pre-work, right? So it's instead of getting ravenous and eating the Cheez-Its, it's planning out your day. It's not allowing yourself. It's because again, I think you let yourself get so hungry is part of the trying because I just want to do better, that I'm going to do everything I can to control the situation because it's all about control when we're trying. It's all about this wanting to grasp and wanting to white knuckle it. But how many times does the Lord talk to us in scripture that it's all about letting go? It's about being open-handed. It's about this grace. It's about his movement of just mercy and grace and the aroma of his spirit. And I think that what that does is it loosens things. Like the training should actually be loose. It should not be controlled. When a lot of the times when I was training people, when the weight would get heavy, they'd raise their shoulders up into their ears because they're just wanting to control and they're wanting to be tight. And we would always encourage, relax, bring your shoulders down, just move with the muscles, setting that intention, which I think was so amazing because when you put your mind to the muscle, you actually work and move that muscle with intention. So
training then is intention. Trying then would be occasional.
yes,
Because, okay, so I got angry. I said, I'm going to try to not get angry. And if I'm only trying, I don't need to do any work between now and the next time I get angry. And so now I'm right at the same. So I haven't done any work. I haven't taken an intentional path to making myself better. I just get to the next point of, call it whatever, anger, whatever it is you have with your spouse, whatever it is. Now my trying is, shoot, it's here now. I got to white knuckle it again. But with training, it's an intentional effort in knowing that thing that I'm trying to make better or reduce or whatever is going to happen again. How can I think there's a difference here. How can I, and not what do I have to do? What can I do to help me get better in that, to be a better version of me, better version of a husband, a wife, a better version of us in this relationship making those intentional things. Intentionality is training as opposed to trying, which happens occasionally when the thing rears its ugly head. But I do want to say, the person that's trying, I don't want to negate the fact that they do want to get better. So the desire to get better, I think, resides in both trying and training. I think the difference, though, is the knowledge, or I'm going to have to say maybe willingness or motivation to go from trying to training, because you got to be motivated to train because you're taking steps to make yourself better, right?
Yes. And what I would say to that is that the trying, we're not saying don't try. The trying is what gets you motivated to then train.
So you're saying use the motivation that you're feeling in this moment in trying and move that to, let's put it to a plan. Let's put some goals out there that you're going to achieve, and then you'll be training, making progress, becoming the person that you in this moment of trying want to become. Now here's a pathway to do that. It's
not too late to move your trying into training, especially if your training isn't working or if your trying isn't working. If your trying isn't working and you're constantly feeling frustrated, I'm here to tell you that you can move that into training and put a plan to it, and you will start seeing small progress, and you will start seeing that movement towards better in your relationship with your spouse, in your relationship with your kids, in your relationships at work, in your relationships in general, as we start building on the foundations that we're lacking. So if we're going to use the example of anger spills out into every aspect of our lives. It's not just our spousal relationships, it's our relationship with our kids. It will show up in work. It'll show up in friendships. It'll show up in the church. It'll show up at Denny's. It's going to show up. And so when we are trying better, we're trying to be better, we're muscling through it. We're gripping life. You are not happy. There is something that is overflowing from you that is, I would say, not a fruit of the spirit. And so there's something that is causing that disruption inside of you, to where asking yourself, what is that? And how can I start training that out of my life? So what can I do? And then that's where we're reducing your stress, because the anger is likely coming from stress. Or asking yourself, why is it that I feel that I need this control? Because anger is also a result of control, or feeling out of control, or feeling anxious. So what are the things that you can start doing? And this only comes by asking the questions of knowing what behavior is first, challenging your relationships. So first, I would challenge you to ask, what are the emotions or the expressions that I'm doing that are causing more disruption than harmony? And then saying, what other areas in my life are these shaping those areas? And then what do I want to change in that? And then setting a plan to walk through that and to process through that. And so, I mean, one of the things that we've talked a lot about is like recovery in working out. And, when you
hit the legs hard, and boy,
Oof.
the next day, holy moly.
Yes. And it's like, we have a sauna for that reason that we got recently. And it's like, and it's so amazing how the heat and the cold like help the recovery aspect of our lives. And so we just we came up with a fun acronym for how to have the foundations that create good habits within marriage. So this is just a quick check-in when we're angry, when we're wanting to move our trying into training. And it's the ICE acronym.
Do ICE method. Here we
ICE
go.
method. Here we go. Okay, so first you're going to create the intention. So it's just putting like love on purpose. So the I is intention. So what am I going to intentionally do to train through this?
And that's the biggest difference between trying and training is that one word. Really,
Yeah.
intention, right?
Yes.
That's a great place to start because that right there is the difference.
100%. So you're going to set the clear purpose for how you want to show up. So how am I going to show up in this situation? So when I'm angry, how do I want to show up? Oof. That's a gnarly, that changes the intention. So how do I want to show up when I'm angry? Well, I want to try to be calmer. I want to work on like being more like steadfast. I want to be more even keeled. I want to, I don't know. You tell me. You're the one.
Well, no, all
you're
the
the one
things.
that deals with the anger.
No, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, all the things. Yeah, keep going.
But it's about prioritizing.
It's intentional.
Yes,
it's intentional.
It's intentional because you're prioritizing connection, you're setting the intention, and you're investing in the growth of your relationship. So I love this. It says, I choose to be present, not just available. Right? So I is intention. Then we're going to move into C, which is consistency. Yeah. So this is not about like the huge grand gestures. This is more about the little small things. So again, so it's the small hinges swing big doors. It's the little actions that you can do every day. So what you do regularly matters more than what you do occasionally. It's like so good, right?
Say that again.
What you do regularly. Can you say that?
I'm thinking it's regularly.
That's the word. I
Okay,
can't say it.
here we go.
So what you do regularly matters more than what you do occasionally.
Wow. And there is no scale of too small.
Right.
See that, and that's the biggest thing that I think really speaks to me is where I'm like, wait, it just needs to be small. I just need to do the small thing consistently. Not okay. I gotta do the big, huge perfection thing.
Right.
I just need to do the small thing that's going to help me get to the point of doing it. And with intention, choosing that small thing and then consistently doing it regularly is me being from trying, I'm now training to become that thing.
Yes, because it's consistent. There's a rhythm and a reason behind it.
And then it becomes you.
Yeah.
Instead of this unfamiliar, the suit doesn't fit, the clothes don't fit. Once I do it consistently, then it becomes, wait, these jeans are now more comfortable because they've kind of, like now it's mine. This is not foreign. This is now me.
Yeah. It says the habit becomes the heartbeat. So then you begin to beat within the habit. So it's so fun. So we have I is intention, C is consistency, and then E is effort. So
well, hold on a second. I thought I could just think about it and consistently think about it. And that was it? No?
yeah, no. Yeah. Yeah. So it means you keep showing up and you just keep putting in the work even when it's hard. And I think that's the point of where that defines the difference between trying and training, is that when it gets hard, if we're just trying, we give up before muscle failure even happens. We're like,
I'm done.
It's too heavy.
Yeah, I tried.
I tried. I tried my best. And so it's usually super inconvenient. It's super unglamorous. Like there's nothing pretty about showing up in the hard, in the ugly, in the gross, and putting in the effort to make things
Because you're
better.
willingly putting yourself in that place. When you're trying, you're just hoping it doesn't come up again.
Yeah.
Right? In this method, for the habit to become my heartbeat, I have to lean in and put effort into this thing. And the reality is for there to be growth, let's go back to the fitness. For there to be growth, there needs to be tears, there needs to be stretching, there needs to be all of these things that cause pain, but then become muscle and it grows, right? It becomes a new part of you that's healthy. It's getting blood. It's growing. It's really good.
It can carry weight.
It can carry. Oh, that's a great one. Write that down.
So it's really about aiming for that progress. We've said this so many times. Oh my gosh. How many times did we always say it's progress, not perfection? Because it is. It's just about showing up every single day, putting in the work, putting in the effort, putting in the consistency, and setting the intention. And it's like, if you do those three things, you are in the midst of training.
The ICE method differentiates you from trying versus training.
Absolutely.
So intention, consistency, and effort. Put that method on anything that you're trying to improve or make better in your marriage relationship, or in, quite frankly, any relationship that you are trying to improve. That method takes you from trying to training. And this is one thing that I think is true. You're never behind. You're not behind.
Mm-mm.
Like, I'm a trier. I'm generally a trier. I've trained on certain things. I'm generally a trier. And so if I were to hear something like this, it would kind of almost, it wouldn't put me down, but I know how I'd think about it. I'm like, well, geez, I don't know. I did it. You're not behind. You're literally one intentional decision away from being a trainer, being on the training pathway.
And the training never fails unless you give up. Like, you don't stop, or if you don't stop, then you're constantly in the training. The trying stops. And I think that that's the difference. And that's the hard part that I think that people don't always necessarily grasp, is that it's like, when you're training for something, you're always working towards it. It's that cyclical pattern again. It's constant. It's moving. It's always inching towards something, and you can fail in trying, and it can set you back a couple steps. But what you do is you just get up and you set a new plan and you set a new intention. You put in the effort again, and it's like you keep moving. Your training it never failed.
So you're saying, with which is the C part of ICE, the consistency is the thing that allows you to elude failure.
Yes.
Even if your goal is easy or it's hard, consistency, intention, consistency, and effort eludes failure.
But there is no failure if you're continuing to train.
That's what I'm saying. It eludes failure.
Yeah. So it actually relieves any pressure, because you're just training. And I can tell you that in every time that I've trained for an event, every time that I've been in the gym, there's some days that I can double my weight, or not double my weights, but I can, right? But I can increase my weights. Then there may be a week, the next week, that it's like, maybe I didn't sleep as well, and maybe I can't lift that same weight and I have to go down in weight. I did not fail. I am growing, and I'm still training, and I'm still getting better, because I'm getting one step closer. Just because I had to go down in my weights one day, I still showed up. I still went and did the work. So I think that that's like the hard part that we get in our minds of if I stumble, I failed, so then I just quit and I don't do anything else. And so many times within health coaching, life coaching, that was the kicker, was that if you weren't meeting the results that you thought that you should have, or that you should be getting, it would be, I'm just done. I don't want to do this anymore. So then you would quit. But that's not training. That you were just trying and you were just wanting to meet a certain goal. The training is less about the goal and it's more about the effort. It's more about the consistency, because you're going to be getting closer and closer to an outcome, but it's less about I want to say landmark, but it's not a landmark, like a milestone. And it's more about increasing and like just being able to increase your weights. That's such a motivating factor. Having a good, healthy conversation between your spouse that would normally lead in an argument, that's one step closer. Like having an honest conversation with your spouse on, wow, like I've really been working on my anger, and your spouse says, yeah, I've actually noticed that. That's getting you closer. Like all of these things are those little wins that keep you in the game. And that's why when we focus more on the progress, not the perfection, because the perfection would be like, well, yeah, but you still like got mad at, the dog for like throwing up or something.
You did good 8 times, but the 9th time?
Right. And that's the perfection, not the progress. And so I think that we can often get too caught up in I have to be or meet a certain goal by a certain time. Now, all of those things are really good and really healthy to have goals with timelines and benchmarks, but you have to be okay with being fluid with them, because if you don't meet them, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you're just training, and you're training through it. You're training past it.
And it's okay, I would imagine, to adjust your goals. If this is new for you, by the way, trying is not a bad thing. We're not saying trying is a bad thing. What we're trying to encourage you to do is moving to training is only going to be better for you.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to make something stick. And so when you get out there, you're like, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to start training. Ice it up. Here we go. If you start moving and you find that the goal that you're like, I'm doing if it's okay to move the goal to where, because you need to win. We need wins. That's how you make progress and you feel good about it. Now, challenge yourself a little bit, right? You can't just take the weight and drop and said, I tried. Well, now you're just trying, right? We got to put the effort in. But that is the major, it's okay. It's okay to adjust your goal to meet where you're at. That's the beauty of the method. That's the beauty of training, is challenge yourself, of course, but make it reasonable and doable for your own good.
Yeah. I think one of the crazy things too is that it's like asking yourself, like, are we training to love better, or are we just trying to like keep things together?
Oh.
And so,
Wow.
like let's train to love better. So in our marriage, like I would encourage our listeners this week, just ask your spouse, like, or be thinking about these things as conversations come up or whatnot, and ask yourself, am I training to love better, or am I just trying to keep things together and stay connected? Because that's the difference, is that training for a better love connection is something that we did when we were dating. It was what attracted each other to one another. So it's like we have to kind of spin those wheels differently now that we have so many different pressures. We have the pressures of finances, we have the pressures of sex, we have the pressure of kids, we have the pressures of just different personalities and different temperaments. It's like we have so many external pressures that are coming at us that we need to be intentional and use the ICE method of setting that intention, be consistent, and show up with that effort. And so when we do those things, we train towards a better relationship and more increased intimacy, more love between one another. Because if we actually examined it, that's what we did in the very beginning when we were courting each other. We were training for a future.
You said something earlier and you brought in like the Holy Spirit and kind of stuff like that for our faith, for our faith listeners, that where that is a reality, when we are trying to self-improve, when we're trying to become who we were created to be, when we were trying to be that person, one of the things that's so very important is to pray, right? Get yourself in a position of opening your heart, opening your spirit to the Spirit of God, to help you, to help you work through what's happening, but also to open your eyes to you. Sometimes it's important to see, like when you're trying to go from a trying to a training, sometimes you need to see something within you that helps you create a path, a pattern that will help you reach the goal that you laid down. I mean, the Apostle Paul, he said in 1 Corinthians, everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. I do not run like someone running aimlessly, right? Marriage isn't aimless.
Yeah.
It isn't aimless. When we train with purpose in this training, ICE method, with God as our strength, we build something that lasts beyond the moment, right?
Yeah.
It lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that you brought that up, because that is a component that for those of faith, like there's an extra something there that anybody has access to, of course, but that is a very important component when trying to do something like this, where sure, can God just heal you from all the things? Of course he could. But generally, that's not how he works. He wants us to walk through the process, depend on him to reveal himself and show himself strong in this. And as we take these steps towards becoming something different and new, he meets us there and we find new versions of ourselves that we were always intended to find.
Absolutely. Can you read that scripture again? Because I just feel like we just need to really hit that home.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians 9, it's verse 25 and 26. This is kind of paraphrasing a little bit. It says, everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. I do not run like someone running aimlessly. And it's saying, you're training up yourself. When you're trying to do something, you don't do it aimlessly. You don't just try, you train. And that's not to impugn trying. I don't know why I want to keep hitting that, because I think it's important. I don't want people to think that they've tried their whole life. Maybe they haven't made it. Trying is not a bad thing. All we're saying is pivot and win more. Win more often. It's not, and honestly, to be quite honest, when we first started, I think a little bit differently now. I feel less intimidated by the fact that, me and goals get a little wonky. That taking your intention of being better in your trying position, take that intention and begin to train in small increments. And you will look back at the moment that you pivoted from a try to a train, and you will be so proud of yourself because you were intentional, you were consistent. There it is. You're consistent. It's your eyes. Consistent, and you put forth the effort. And what a great thing to see and find in that moment.
And just going back and hitting this whole muscle, like
Fatigue
the
and
fatigue, the repair, all of that. ICE, when your muscles are sore and torn, repairs. And I think that it's like we just need to sit
it's got legs.
and we need to remember that it's like if we show up, if we put in the consistency, if we show up and put in the effort, and if we're intentional about the things that we're doing, it has the power and the motivation to repair, to heal, to restore. So I think that there's no greater way to end than just remembering just to show up, just be consistent, lean on the Holy Spirit because he's there with you. He loves you. He cares for you. He wants to help you show up and train and not wander aimlessly because you have a race to run, and let's run it really well. Let's model healthy marriages for our kids and for this next generation. And keep going, keep showing up. If you're in a place of where it's like you feel that it's like all you've done is try, and nothing is working, pivot down. And like I would even challenge you to pull back on your trying and all of the different things and really set forth a forward momentum plan that is motivated with trying or with training and with setting those intentions and the whys behind what is important about this intention, this effort, this consistency, because those are the things that are going to keep you in the game. So I think that this has been an amazing episode, and I just want to remember, ice it and build your habits on ice so that your marriage doesn't crack under pressure.
There it is. That's the one. That's how we end. Oh, I love it. Come on. That was great. Ice it, baby.
Oh, we'll see you next
That's
time.
great. See you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thanks for spending time with us today on Imperfectly Married.
We hope something in today's episode encouraged you or gave you a fresh perspective.
If it did, share it with a friend, leave a review, or connect with us on our social platforms.
Remember, no marriage is perfect.
But yours is worth fighting for.